Magandang hapon.
Magandang hapon.
Magandang hapon is good afternoon here for Philippines.
Yes.
Okay. Today we will talk you about global warming.
Oh yeah, that's an
Yes.
interesting one.
And the last first question.
Okay.
Yes. First, what the difference between global warming and climate change?
Oh well, that's a very interesting question. Well, global warming and climate change, those are like two different terms that they're kind of like so related that most people have used them like so interchangeably. But if we are going to take a look at the definition of them, they are actually different. When we say global warming, it is actually the overall increase of the surface temperature of the Earth's atmosphere due to the continuous release of greenhouse gases, just like carbon dioxide. But when we say climate change is actually like the effect of global warming.
For me, the difference between global warming and climate change, like, it's quite the same, but there's a difference. Like global warming, it's when people change the climate, like the car, when you use a car and then the smoke, that's caused a global warming too. And also the trash bins, like paper, you like throw it everywhere. Also that cause global warming. Also people who smoke a lot, they can cause that global warming. But climate change for me is about natural, like sun, ocean. Those can cause a climate change. Like when it's rain, that's a climate change.
Global warming, actually let's start with climate change because it's quite prevalent today in today's world, because at the minute we have two huge, I think it's hurricanes and typhoons at the minute. That's a consequence of global warming, because the Earth's temperatures are rising all of the time. Because of this, natural disasters, phenomenal weather, all these things are a consequence of this. So that's to do with climate change. Global warming, I think it's pretty safe. It says what it is itself. Every human is responsible for global warming, and we have done for the last 60, maybe 70, 80 years. Because of what we do, how we do things, is a result of all this. So,
do you think humans have caused global warming?
Oh yes, definitely. Well, not to be funny, but have you ever seen like a dog driving a car? Definitely not, right? But kidding aside, global warming has been an effect of the things that people do, and it actually started during the Industrial Revolution in the early 20th century, on which like the release of carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases has been like, the amount has been so enormous that the Earth could not take it anymore.
I think humans cause global warming like everyday life. As I said before, like when you have a car and then they smoke, and then people who smoke, those are things that cause a global warming. So, and then people don't even think of it, they just do things, and then after it's caused like a global warming.
Or yes, and we have the data, we have the science, we have the research to prove this. No matter what most of our world leaders will tell us, we are responsible for global warming. We are responsible for this. Look at the amount of cars we have. Look at the fossil fuels we continue to burn. Of course, like if we look back to the 1920s to the 1950s, we didn't have any really natural phenomena then, but we have so many now. That's because of people. It's as simple as that.
Okay, Nick. Does your country take global warming seriously? What are they doing about it?
Oh, well, to answer that, it's gonna be quite hard for me actually, because I haven't been in my country for like almost 8 to 9 years now. But according to like my readings, because I still like read some stuff about my country, according to that, I have read that the Philippines now has got its Climate Change Council, on which it is responsible for all the effects of this climate change and how to help our country in order for us to minimize the effects of it.
Like my country, they do take care about global warming. And then to stop people from it, we tell them to don't smoke and to don't throw like paper or whatever they use in home that can be recyclable. So we use it and then we recycle like. And then there's people who are in charge to clean the city every morning, like they pass every street and then clean it, take those paper who people throw away, and yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, we take it very seriously. So first of all, I come from Europe, and one of the smaller countries in Europe, the Republic of Ireland, and we take it very seriously. Some of the things that we have done is we invested heavily in wind farms, so solar wind energy. Because we're a coastal country, we're surrounded by the Atlantic Ocean mostly. We have huge big wind farms in the sea, so that's where we generate a lot of our power. Then from, how can I say, that's kind of a national thing for everybody where we get our power. We also have smaller things which we do for the normal person, for the individual in the country. For example, we were one of the first countries to ban and outlaw plastic bags. So if you went, for example, for Thailand, if you went to a 7-Eleven in my country, you cannot get a plastic bag any place. You have to have a paper bag or use your own bag. So we were one of the first to stop using plastic. Another thing we introduced was for people for transport. So what we did is we introduced bicycles all across our cities, free of charge for anybody who wants to use to go from A to B. That was one of the things. So we did implement a lot. We went from the national level to, I would say, the local level, which is the person on the street. So every individual did their part, and the government, I like to think, did a part. So I think we did a lot. Have we done enough? No way. Not even close. Because temperature's still rising and all these kind of things. So, but I think we've done more than most, I would say.
What could your country do to reduce its carbon footprint?
Oh, well, that's an interesting question again. Well, because I have like friends in the Philippines also that keeps in touch with me. Now the thing is that from what I hear is that the Philippines now is like using mostly biodegradable products. So normally we don't use plastic that much anymore. So I think that reduces carbon emission and stuff like that. And another thing is, I believe like most people use the transits like trains and stuff like that. So I think it helps out in the reduction of the carbon dioxide emission that we can get from more like cars and trucks and stuff like that. And another thing is, I think the Philippines is like telling the people to like have their own gardens and stuff, so that they don't need to buy like some of the foods that they need from the supermarket, in which uses like public transportation as well.
I think the carbon footprint will reduce it because like I appreciate the government. They are doing a great work, like stopping people to produce a lot of footprint. So I think it's reduced. Yeah, we reduce it. Yeah.
I would say there's like a document, a world document where every country has a minimum target to reduce their footprints, and I'm pretty sure we're close to meeting our targets. So it's an unfair question in that we could exceed what we want to do, but it still won't be enough because we need other countries to add to do their part. So for us to do more will always have an impact, but it won't have a more huge impact. We need other countries to do much, much more. And then that's a bigger question, really, unfortunately.
What could you do to reduce your carbon footprint?
Interesting question again. Well, to reduce my carbon footprint or carbon emission, because normally I drive car. Before, I wasn't so, efficient because I keep on like driving anywhere I want. Like just going to 7-Eleven, I would actually like, drive my car. But nowadays, since, it's like global warming is such an issue for me now. I just bought a bicycle so that if I go out of the house, I don't need to use my car. Instead, I would use my bicycle. Or sometimes if I could just, just gonna go like somewhere near, I would just rather walk than drive my car.
It all starts with looking in the mirror. Yes, every person can look in the mirror, and I'm exactly the same. As I just explained, where I come from, we've done a lot in my country. I really do think we've done a lot. For me personally, I still don't do half of the things I should. And it's interesting because where I came from when I said to you about stop using plastic and using bicycles more, less cars, carpooling, all these things I did when I moved to a different continent, which is Asia and Thailand. I stopped doing this. So instead of bringing this with me in my own mind and showing by example, I stopped doing that. So I went back to using plastic all of the time. I went back to driving my car 100 meters. I went back to doing the things I stopped doing because it was the right thing to do. So I could do much more for sure. As I said, the example is set, the precedent is set. I think it's self-responsibility. Everybody must be responsible for their own, how can you say, their own input into stopping global warming and maybe climate change in some degree. But we all have to take responsibility, and that's the most key part, and that's the hardest thing to do. Is it's really difficult to take responsibility. Nobody wants to do anything because we're all, number one, scared of change for anything, and number two, we always think the next guy can take care of it. Next guy can solve the problem. The next generation can take care. But that generation one day is not going to come. So it's up to somebody or some generation to stop and say, okay, hold on, we got to do something. And I include myself on this, for sure.
Stop now.
Stop now.
Next, have you seen anything in your life because of global warming?
Oh yes, indeed. Okay, well, right now it's really, really hot. So, well, first and foremost, as I've said a while back, like I just bought like a bicycle in order for me to like, lessen my carbon emission and stuff. And another thing is that I try not to use like plastics anymore. So I try to like reduce, reuse, and recycle some of the stuff that I have. And I think the most important thing here is that not to just change the way you are living, but to change the way you think as well. So the moment we change our perception of global warming or climate change, that is, we would be able to like see what we would become after several years. And when we see that, we start wondering, what can I do? And I think the things that I'm doing right now in my life would actually like help me in the future for that.
Me? A lot about me, yeah. I mean, because of the global warming, like, I stopped like myself trying to do things that can cause the global warming. Like I don't smoke, and I clean my place like every time, and then I'm trying to reuse the same thing. I don't throw it away. Like it's like all at the end of the day, it came on the same thing: reuse, recycle, and then don't try to throw things away and stuff. Yeah.
Again, on a national level, no. On a personal level, I did things back home, as I say, just small matters, and like recycling, reusing, upscaling. We did all these things, but no, again, I haven't done enough. No, nowhere near enough. And as a teacher, I understand what global warming is. I understand climate change. I understand the effects. I understand the causes. But I should do more. I know I should do more because I have the knowledge. Not like some people who may not understand. I do, and I still don't do enough. I should do more. I take that responsibility on me, for sure. Could I do more? Yes. What could I do more? Where I live at the minute, I love the country I live in. I lived here for 10 years in Thailand. But it's difficult to implement change. Change isn't easy here. It's difficult for people to change. Not just people, it's difficult to change customs. And there's a like a phrase or an expression in English we say every little counts. And to combat climate change, every little is going to count. So even the smallest things, like in this country, we could stop using plastic to the volume we use it. More recycling, which is slowly kind of coming. Carbon dioxide use is phenomenal here. The volume of cars and buses and energy is phenomenal. So there's lots we can do, but it's all going to take every person individually to do something to affect what we want.
Do you think developing country should not grow so fast?
Okay, that is one thing that is quite hard to like answer because it involves like political ideas. Now, me being as a teacher, I would say that we don't have any single right to like say that they should or they shouldn't grow too fast. It's their prerogative whether they want to grow fast or not. The only thing is that as they grow faster and faster, it might have some disadvantage in their environment. Okay, just like for example, if you develop too fast, you might forget about the natural things and the natural environment that you have in your country. So as long as the country can think about that, I think they still have the right to like grow as fast as they want.
I mean, nowadays, developing country, it's growing so fast because people getting the job easily, people finding their life easy, and then it's just a lot of people just coming in. It's like Thailand, just there's a lot of tourism. People come and study here. It's like we can't stop it from that, but it's good for a country to have many people, and then people growing faster. When they get a job, they can live, like, yeah, it's good.
It's an interesting question because no matter how hard we try, change never stops. And you can't slow down technology or change. So it's a loaded question, we say, because it's not going to change. You can't stop this. But it's a problem. The countries really are developing. Look at China. Look how they've developed in the last 20 years alone. It's phenomenal. Even in this country, Thailand, like it's developed nearly unrecognizable from when I came here 10 years ago. So change happens. It's maybe we need to be better educated to understand all the good things we want and all the things we do or we think is good isn't always good. That makes sense. We need to be able to take more responsibility. So, for example, like again, I just use Thailand for example. Maybe 20 years ago, we didn't all have cars. It was a rarity. Hence the reason you see motorcycles and things like this. But now everybody has cars. But people don't maybe understand the responsibility and the damage that they do by the fuel and things like this. So, developing countries, especially in Africa as well, we can't stop development, nor should we. Who are we to say you shouldn't develop because you shouldn't better your life or your social environment because we're afraid of us damaging more? No. I think we shouldn't slow down development. It should continue as it will do anyway. Evolution always happens. But I think it has to go back to education. We have to be better educated in our surroundings. And we have to take responsibility. It's us, like it's our responsibility for the next generation, so we have to educate them more to say, okay, we can't keep burning fossil fuels, we can't keep driving on cars everywhere, we need to change. It's not going to be nice maybe, but we have to do it, so something like that.
What do you think will be the result of global warming over the next 50 years?
Okay, well, this is a highly opinionated question, so I'm just gonna give my opinion here. I believe to answer this question, we have to like feel right now. So, if for example, I'll give you an example. 8 years ago, 9 years ago, when I came to Thailand, it was not this hot. 9 years now, I cannot even stay outside. Look at me now, I'm sweating. And yeah, so it's quite hard to, it's easy to think, but I don't want to think about it. But probably in the next 50 years, Thailand is gonna be even hotter than this, and the entire world will be at risk of like having devastative like calamities and stuff like that. The Philippines is visited by more and more typhoons, and these typhoons are like getting bigger and stronger every single time they visit. And even in the news, like Japan as well, right? So like natural disasters are like coming too rapidly now, and this is all because of global warming. So it's just very hard for me to like imagine what devastation can happen in our world 50 years from now.
I think the world won't be here like anymore. Like the ocean right now is just growing, and then people they still have people, even if we're trying to stop people to don't smoke or doing the produce the footprint, we still got people who still doing that, and then we have to recycle things, but it's not easy. The world is too big, and I think after 50 years old, like it's gonna be crazy. Like the world won't be here. We don't exist anymore. I don't think. Yeah.
I asked one of my classes I teach in, and I generally ask them, what do you think in the next, you said 15 or 50? 15? Yeah. This is how I always say, the next 15 years, what do you think will happen? It's incredibly hard to answer. Change will happen for sure. Just look at the previous 15 years. Sorry. Look what we've evolved and developed since then. So there's a lot more renewable energy now. Yes, that's number one. Far more renewable energy. So we have to embrace it and use it. But one of the problems we have is one of our world leaders. We need to all get on the same page. We can't doubt what's scientifically proven. So we all have to embrace it and get on the same page. And I think then maybe we can slow down the effects of what's happening at the minute, because it's quite severe. As I said at the very, very start, if you just look right now, you see two very big hurricanes, typhoons. And that's a consequence of global warming, pure and simple, climate change. So we have to somehow slow this down, more responsibility. I worry that we don't, and in my lifetime I won't see dramatic changes. I'll see changes, but I won't see dramatic changes. But my generation after me, or maybe after them again, they could see severe repercussions. That's what I worry about.
Global warming is one of the biggest problems that we are all facing right now. And solving this problem is not a job for a single person. We all may come from different walks of life. We all may have different cultures and beliefs. But we can only start solving this problem when we try to reach out and help each other out. Because think about it, we only have one earth to live on.
Excuse me for my voice. I got a cold voice. Like, for people like all over the world trying to recycle things, like trying to reuse and stop using plastic bags and stop smoking. It's not good for the world, and to be healthy and safe. So I will ask you people to stop doing that. Thank you.
100%. We all have to take responsibility. We all have to be responsible and take responsibility for our actions. If we want to drive the best cars and burn the fuels and no recycling and all these kind of things, that's on you. That's on every individual to do. So to make change, we all have to play our part. So that's responsible. Be responsible, make the first step, and hopefully everyone else can follow after. Somebody has to change. Somebody has to make that first step.